who's watching you. So I always liken this customer win to actually 1984 by George Orwell. It's sort of scary about what's actually coming to fruition. And we've been doing some very interesting things with QCT and Intel, and really changing the way that advertising is done. So, Cloudian, along with QCT and Intel, we in Dentsu is Japan's largest marketing firm. It's actually one of the world's largest marketing firms. I think it's like one of the top 3 or maybe it's top 5 in the world. Have launched the first smart, data-driven advertising model, so predictive advertising model in Japan. And we recently just came out of the POC. We've been doing it already, and now it's actually in full-blown production. It's real-time ad targeting. You know, as many of you may know, it's all about time and money in advertising. Time and money and how you actually nail your audience so that you get the results that you're looking for. And you know, with all of the information out there, and you'll be surprised at what they're picking up on the information, you can start to profile. And from those profiles, they can actually dictate what type of ads they're going to flash to you. I'm sort of scared to be over in Japan and having to see what flashes up in front of me. So as I said, the initial prototype's been successful, and it was a great project with Dentsu, with Intel, our good friends at Intel, who also are a large investor of Cloudians, and are very good strategic partners, QCT. So deep learning use case examples. So it used to be that it was just about collecting data, right? But data doesn't matter anymore, right? It's about what you can do with that data. Because that's how you can actually change a company's behavior. And it affects the bottom line, it affects the time to market, the time to money. It also affects your underlying cost as well as your potential revenues. And it's not always about, you know, revenues, it's also about, hey, how do we fix a problem, right? So, you know, you start looking at deep learning use case examples. I mean, let's go with one that it's obviously a little bit more humane, trying to detect, you know, trends in cancer, right? So we are doing all these scans and all these tests, and being able to take the data and actually start mapping trends, and then from the trends, being able to come up with various test procedures, identifiers, actually try to nail it down. I mean, I'm still to this day blown away with the advances in technology that cancer's even around, but I'm confident that it will be eliminated sometime in our lifetime. Auto driving, right? I always get a little bit spooked out when I'm on 101 and I see a Google car driving and like the driver's sitting way back and just going like, sort of scary, right? In fact, I was just talking to one of the customers here today, Uber, and even Uber has a division that's looking at auto driving. Crazy, right? But think about that. Everything it needs to know, right? It has to have all of this data, all of this information, so that it can do learning and, you know, constant learning and corrective behavior. It's just mind-boggling, and it's funny. I was just doing a small project. This isn't really along the lines of as deep as auto driving, but just even, you know, Google and the amount of pictures and sensors and data that they're gathering. I was doing a project with my little 7-year-old daughter this week based on Google Maps in our house. And now even within Google Maps, you can like do a timeline. So you can say like, I want to see this picture 5 years ago, then today, you know, they can, well, you know, they have that much data that they're collecting so that they can start, you know, taking that data and making trends, right? I mean, think about just even that data. If they're driving around collecting multiple pictures in the neighborhood, you know, what's the construction market? Who are the construction people? What are people doing with their houses? Is it trying to go up? Is it to go out? Et cetera, et cetera. Are people getting rid of grass, putting in the, you know, eco-friendly just plants, right? So there's so many things that you can trend on. So getting into what we've done with Dentsu. So you have your video cameras, the cars come up, and that's your real-time recognition, right? And then in the background on QCT servers, running Hyperstore, which is Cloudian's technology. And I'll talk a little bit about technology after we talk about this use case here. I'll talk about Cloudian after we talk about this use case. What's going on is we're using a deep learning algorithm. You guys may know it, Cafe, Intel Cafe. And so we have the model that's in the background running on Hyperstore. And then the real-time recognition checks against the model and continuously enhances the model. And then from there, it actually will do a screen or an advertisement, a targeted advertisement. How fast do you think this all happens? Within 1 second, it will tell you the make, the model, and the year of the car. Within 1 second, the make, the model, and year of the car. And within that same second, it will also do the predictive ad. I mean, it's amazing how quick it can go. And not only that, what's cool, and what we really don't cover here, but as you're driving down a mile down the road and that advertisement pops up, it can also trace your retina and see how many times you look at that ad and for how long that you look at it for, right? So, it takes a picture so it can determine if it's a Tesla or, say, a VW. And, okay, if it's a Tesla, they have, again, this model is constantly learning, right? It's constantly improving itself. Okay, Tesla drivers are sort of fancy. Down here, maybe we show an advertisement of Prada sunglasses, right? If it's a VW, maybe it's someone who's a little bit more conservative, safety-driven, you know, who knows, maybe just whatever type of sunglasses, but you get where I'm going. And again, this model continuously learns and enhances itself and continuously is gathering data. And that's all I put on the Cloudian Hyperstore Intel Cafe is the algorithm that's analyzing it all, and then using QCT boxes with the GPUs, again, analyzing all the real-time images. So this is a picture of the model. So they basically have 3,000 to 5,000 images of every single model car out there on the highways in Japan. And then, as you can see, it constantly will come in. So the real-time image will recognize the car, check it against the model, and then from there, make its predictive advertisement or its behavior. And this is just a video of everything happening. So you capture that, and then you can go, and it is scary, isn't it? I think it's scary too. I want to be tuned out of this. Because like I said, I don't know what would show up for me as advertisements, and that makes me a little bit nervous. So, you know, transforming big data really into smart data, right? Who cares about data? It's what you can do with it, right? And the object storage that we have really enables us, right? From metadata tags, where you can start identifying unique identifiers and then mark trends against those identifiers and make predictive decisions based off of that. So, you know, just going back to the example I sort of went too fast, but why is it so unique and why is it special with what we did with QCT and Intel and Dentsu? Well, first off, Dentsu is not a technology company, right? So how we were able to put all of this together so quickly is Cloudian is the only 100% native S3 API object storage company out there. We were able to take advantage of that $38 billion ecosystem, that S3 ecosystem that surrounds AWS. Intel Cafe is part of that ecosystem too. They're on Marketplace. So we're able to piece all these pieces together and get the solution together fairly quickly. So that was one of the key things too that was really driving that, is that ease to put together. You know, another thing too, you know, why would we want to put it on, you know, an on-premise box instead of, say, the public cloud? Well, you know, there's latency. Everything has to be done in a split second. Again, within 1 second, it identifies the make, model, and year of the car and determines the advertisement that it's going to send to you. Amazing, right? So the real-time recognition, working with the model, and doing that deep learning. Also, there were some privacy concerns too that Dentsu had. They didn't just want to throw all this data up into a public cloud, because you are collecting a lot of data about people, so maybe there is some sanity there. It's not all open to Big Brother and allowing him or her to identify what our trends are. But, you know, taking just what are we doing and what are we working on, And the solutions that we're building with QCT and Intel, again, it's about transforming businesses, right? It's about taking data and actually making useful business decisions off of it. One of our companies that we work closely with is Tyco. Tyco ADT does the alarm systems and the sprinkler systems. And they're putting electrical heartbeats into every single one of those systems, right? It's just a 1 or a 0 that tells you if it's on or it's off. In today's environment, they send people out to the building. That's cost, it's timely to check all of these systems, right? And now they can collect that data and they're putting it on the Cloudian. And now they can analyze that data. And I don't see these sprinklers up here, there's no fire. But if the sprinkler's out, they can analyze and say, well, every sprinkler around is still working. There's enough coverage area. Don't worry about it. You're good to go. Think about the cost savings there and about just fundamentally changing the way a business does business. So it needs to be just collect the data, but really who cares about that? It's about the deep learning and making the use of the data. And again, being able to make predictive decisions based off of that. And of course, quicker time to market, quicker results, and of course it definitely affects the cost model, both underlying costs and revenue opportunities. So just covering Hyperstore here real quick. So first off, Cloudian, as I said, we are actually an Intel-backed company, and what we focus on is mass scalable object storage. One of our unique identifiers and differentiators is we're the only company that is 100% native S3 API. We are not an Amazon feeder at all. What you'll find is actually most large object cloud solutions are based on S3 now, right? It's become the de facto cloud storage solution. Putting a little bit of proof behind this, Amazon, Andy Jassy, their CEO used to say the whole world's public cloud. Well, I'm sure all of us here on a daily basis walk into some sort of a data center, and that's just not true. Right? There's definitely still on-premise data centers. So they have now said, okay, it's going to be a hybrid approach. And they have now said that if it's going to be a hybrid approach and there's going to be on-premise, put it on Cloudian for your S3 needs. And they are now selling us within Marketplace. And so they can also propel us forward too. So I look at that as a thumbprint of approval. You have to look at all the other clouds out in the Marketplace. Everyone is tying themselves somehow, some way to S3. Microsoft obviously not as much, but even they have some components that can read that. So we're in a very good position to tackle that. Some of the other key differentiators, as you can see, the hybrid approach right here. So any S3 cloud, Google's S3, Alibaba's S3, and then Amazon and Glacier. So it has to be obviously very easy to scale, and you also have to have obviously various levels of data integrity. Some of this is covered in the next slide. How do we do that scaling? We're built on top of Cassandra, peer-to-peer database. So as you need more storage, more capacity, all you do is slide in another QCT and Cloudian appliance, and voila, your storage pool expands. Still the same single global namespace. We have various levels of data protection incorporated into the solution. We have replication as well as erasure coding that's dictated by the customer. How some companies do this is you have to dictate by the cluster what you want, what type of data protection you want. We don't do that. We dictate by buckets within the cluster. So therefore, again, it's about giving more control to the end user on how they want to protect and store and actually utilize their data. We also obviously know, going back to the whole Cassandra piece, the other advantage too is, this is talked about on the main stage today, is the geo-distribution and geo-replication of data. That's absolutely critical. It's sort of interesting, a little side note. Cloudian was launched the day of the big Japanese earthquake. So let's say we had some major issues. Our CEO tells a story. He was actually in Tokyo at the time. The whole building was rattling. Our marketing lead over in Japan was just sort of sitting there looking at his laptop and going like this, and the earthquake stops. And he's just like looking at his laptop. He's like, I don't think we're going to get a lot of press today. Obviously. He said, I'll never forget that moment. He just is everything okay? He just looks up. I don't think we're going to get a lot of press today. But what's interesting is about a week later, this little small, teeny, tiny company called NTT pinged us up and said, hey, we're trying to come up with, out of this, horrible travesty that we just had. We noticed you just launched a solution that allows you to do the geo-distribution replication. We need that. And so they actually were our first customer, or still today one of our largest customers, and have us in multiple areas of NTT. What's the secret? I talked about the native S3, the peer-to-peer architecture, and Cassandra. Another nice thing that we also have built in, and by the way, this is all built in from the ground up. This isn't patched on as you scale. And as you all know, in an engineering solution, it's much better to have it built from the ground up versus going in and actually trying to stitch it. We also have multi-tenancy built in. And the beautiful thing about multi-tenancy is there is a chargeback built within it, so you can actually charge back by usage. The multi-tenancy also is within the same cluster, right? Other competitors out there, you have to have basically establish brand new clusters for every tenant. This is within a single cluster, so again, truly embracing the spirit of mass horizontally scalable storage, right? So just massive single global namespace. And then there's also QoS built within the multi-tenancy, so you can prevent one person from having, or hogging all the storage resources. We have smart support, so predictive support that will tell us if anything's failing. So we have that covered too. I talked about the hybrid cloud programmable API with S3 and the intelligence that we're working on to get from just data to actually smart data through predictive learning. Talked about the scale and being able to easily add on. And again, you can manage all of your various buckets within your clusters and really have a nice granular control of what's working, what's not working, of your various tenants, and actually do the chargeback for that data. Always on. This is obviously key, and this is part of the beauty of mass horizontally scalable object storage solutions. As you know, or maybe you don't know, but you have to at least start with 3 nodes. So there's no disruptive upgrades, you can do rolling upgrades, no single point of failure. If one system fails, obviously everything else covers for it. As you add on new capacity, our software will automatically balance out the data set. It will automatically take on whatever that replication or erasure coding equation is for the cluster. We also have a solution, a gateway for files. Because today's world is files, but as we're seeing more and more data is going towards object, IPC, if you trust the big analyst companies, they're saying 80% of data is unstructured. So how do you actually manage that? Object storage is perfect for that environment. But you have legacy, you have files, and so we do have our HyperStore connect files that will bridge from the files down into our HyperStore storage solution. That's it.